Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain silent, standing for a moment of silence for former Councilman Mel Henderson, who passed away this week. He's also a member of the Community Relations Advisory Board. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Parker. Councilmember Stern.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Gusson. Councilmember Pruitt.
Here.
Councilmember Katz.
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz.
Here.
Mayor Hamidine.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by Resolution 28-12, setting the 2012 meeting dates, and Resolution 150-12, ratifying Resolution 28-12, sending a copy to the record in the Jewish Standard, filing a copy in the Township Clerk's office, and posting it on the Municipal Building Bulletin Board, and the Mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting. We also have with us from the Township Administration, William Broughton, our Township Manager, our Township Clerk, Jamie Avelina, the Township Manager's Executive Assistant, Issa Abbasi, and our Senior Clerk, Jennifer Jackson. We also have with us our Township Attorney, Stanley Turritz. Council met in closed session this evening to discuss litigation matters. This evening is late night voter registration. It's the last night to register to vote. The clerk's office will be open until 9 p.m. accepting applications. The Thanksgiving annual food drive is now in effect. Items will be accepted until Wednesday, November 14th. Drop-off locations are Municipal Building, Police Headquarters, the Rota Center, Firehouses, Library, and Hope Presbyterian Church. Confidential paper shredding will take place on Sunday, October 21st from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. in the municipal parking lot. Limit to 2 bags of confidential paper only. The Teaneck blood drive will take place on October 29th from 3 p.m. until 9 p.m. at 855 Windsor Road. Additional information may be obtained from the Township website. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, October 30th, with public input to begin at 8 p.m. October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please, everybody, make sure that you're taking care of your health needs and you're getting checked out. First item on tonight's presentation are presentations for our Township employees. Township Manager.
Good evening. Test. Good evening, everyone. This evening we're here to celebrate several of our employees who have reached several important milestones in their career. We'd first like to start with Sharon Heim. Would you come up with your partner? Come join us. We have our library director here, Mr. McHugh, Mike McHugh. And, sir, you can come up and, okay, all right. So, Sharon Heim, Sharon serves as a senior library assistant at our library. She served since 1976. She's the person who helps patrons obtain books from the many libraries that participate in the library system. She also enjoys composing music and writing poetry. Ms. Heim is also a lifelong resident of the borough of Maywood. Congratulations on 35 years of service.
Sharon, on the occasion of your 35th anniversary with the Township of Teaneck's Library, the Township Council and the Township Manager hereby express grateful appreciation for your dedicated service to the Township of Teaneck. Thank you.
Mr. McHugh.
Speaking to the mic. I had written prepared remarks, and he stole about a quarter of them, so now they wouldn't flow. But there was mention made, and I'll mention one specific point, because I think it is Sharon's claim to fame. Forgive me if I read it. She's renowned among her peers for her musical compositions. When we have our annual holiday party, Sharon rewrites the lyrics of some of the familiar Christmas carols and songs And in most recent years, they've become sing-alongs, where we do karaoke versions. And the theme, of course, is the trials and tribulations of serving the public, specifically, obviously, in the library context. And they're quite hilarious. We don't mean to disparage the public, but there are exasperations whenever you work with the public in whatever setting. And she cleverly works them into a song. And then if you're really lucky, when you retire, you'll get a song dedicated just to you. And I think people really look forward to it. She has terrific low-key sense of humor, and really thinks long and hard about the subject matter. So she's a joy to work with, and as longevity, Lou Gehrig, that's her peer in the library world. So congratulations, Sharon.
Okay, next we have Charles McKiernan. Chuck, you want to come up? You can bring your family if they would like to come. Okay, Chuck, he's our township engineer. Chuck actually grew up in Teaneck, Sagamore Avenue. He served the township from 1985 to 1990, and again from 2001 to the present. Chuck has worked for the engineer department as the assistant municipal engineer and currently as a township engineer. In attendance tonight is his wife, Lisa, son Ryan, and daughter Tara. Yes. In Chuck's tenure as engineer, the township has secured a number of county, state, and federal grants, which included improvements to Ward Plaza, Queen Anne Road, Windsor Road, and West Inglewood Avenue. Congratulations for 15 years of service, Chuck.
Chuck, we have a certificate for you on the occasion of your 15th anniversary with the Teaneck Township Engineering Department. The Township Council and the Township Manager hereby express grateful appreciation for your dedicated service to the Township of Teaneck. Congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you. Next we have Jennifer Jackson. Ms. Jackson has served the township since 2002. She's worked for the engineering department and DPW as senior clerk typist. Since 2011, Jennifer joined the township clerk's office as a senior clerk typist. Jen is the proud mother of a daughter, Samantha, 22, and a son, CJ, 13. Congratulations on 10 years of service.
Jennifer, on the occasion of your 10th anniversary with the Teaneck Township Clerk's Office, the Township Council and the Township Manager hereby express grateful appreciation for your dedicated service to the Township of Teaneck. Congratulations.
Next we have Spence Osai-Bovo. Officer Osai-Bovo has served in the Teaneck Police Department since 2007. In attendance this evening is his father, his mother Felicia, and younger brother Kester. He's a police officer. He was just recently appointed police officer in the township, and a cousin Nosa, who's a Teaneck High School student. Officer Osai-Bovo graduated from Teaneck High School and later earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from New Jersey City University. He then earned his master's degree in management from Thomas Edison State College. Officer Osai-Bovo plans to begin working on a PhD in criminal justice in the near future. Officer Osai-Bovo is currently assigned to Motor Patrol Squad and works the 3 to 11 shift. He was recently joined in the force by his brother, as I said. Congratulations on 5 years of service.
On the occasion of your 5th anniversary with the Teaneck Township Police Department, the Township Council, and the Township Manager hereby expresses grateful appreciation for your dedicated service to the Township of Teaneck. Congratulations. Thank you.
Officer Sunga. Is he here? He's not here. Carol Stevenson. Carol Stevenson. She began working for the Township Police Department in 2007. She currently serves as a clerk stenographer. Carol is assigned to the Training Accreditation Bureau of the Police Department. Recently, the Teaneck Police Department received a certificate of recognition from CALEA, the Committee on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. Carol currently works with Sergeant Finley and Lieutenant Ferranti and assists the police department's training needs. Congratulations on 5 years of service.
Carol, on the occasion of your 50th anniversary with the Teaneck Township Police Department, the Township Council, and the Township Manager hereby express grateful appreciation for your dedicated service to the Township of Teaneck. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Any member of council wishes to welcome?
Congratulations to all the honorees.
Dr. Pruitt.
Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations, and thank you very much for service to the residents.
I just say congratulations. After all these years of working for the township, I'm sure it's not easy dealing with people. I've dealt with many of you guys over the years, and if it's not easy dealing with me and multiplied me by 39,000, coming up here after 5 years is an accomplishment, let alone 20 and 30 and whatnot. So congratulations.
Thank you again. Congratulations. Just an agenda motion, if nobody objects. I'd just like to move up the endorsing resolutions for Torah Academy, Jewish Family Service, and AAH of Bergen County, Inc. Do we have somebody here from Bergen County, Inc.? If you just come up, say your name for the record.
My name is David.
To the mic, please. Thank you.
My name is David Moore. I'm the Executive Director for Alliance Against Homelessness. We have a residence on the Garrison Avenue Street. We've been here for about 5 years, and the residents are extremely happy. And what I'm asking for is an endorsing resolution that we continue to apply and receive funds from Bergen County's Community Development Block Grants.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The resolutions will be on the next agenda.
Do we have somebody from Jewish Family Service?
From Jewish Family Service, how are you?
Hello.
We're requesting a township resolution to support our application for community development block grants in the amount of $52,500 to provide individual, family, and group counseling to 40 individuals or families victimized by domestic violence who would otherwise not be able to afford those services. And it is actually Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well.
Thank you.
So, any questions?
Any questions? All in favor? Yeah. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Anyone from Torah Academy here?
Hi, Yechiel Rodplatt here on behalf of Torah Academy of Bergen County. We're seeking to have a hearing on the October 30th, when you have the October 30th meeting in favor of, the hearing is in support of financing that we are seeking for an expansion of the Torah Academy facility. The township, the building department has already approved all the necessary permits. We are applying for private activity bonds, which will enable the school to receive tax-free financing. In order to do that, the IRS Tax Code Section 147 requires that a public hearing be held and that the council endorse the financing. I just want to be 100% clear. We have a legal opinion letter from National Council supporting and confirming that in no way will this result in any form of liability on behalf of the township. This is just a hearing that is necessary to be done pursuant to the IRS code. And 14 days advance notice needs to be given, so we'll be back at the next meeting for the final hearing.
Anybody have any questions?
So, Mr. Turch, you reviewed all the paperwork on this?
Yeah, this is we've never had one of these before, but this is under Section 147F of the IRS code. Township has no liability. This has been referred to bond counsel. Bond counsel will be submitting an opinion that township has no liability, but it's a requirement for a local organization to hold what's called a TEFRA hearing, and that'll take place on October 30th, but there's no liability for the township, just to meet the requirements of the IRS.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next item on tonight's agenda is the public hearing and adoption of ordinance of 4274.
Ordinance 4274, an ordinance repealing Article 2 of Chapter 9 of the Code of the Township of Teaneck relating to business hours of barbershops.
Okay, the hearing's now open. Would any member of the public like to comment on the barbershop ordinance? Seeing no hands, the public portion of this hearing is now closed.
Yeah, can we, if it passes, can we send a copy of this to the barbershops? Especially
fine.
Since they were so involved originally.
Absolutely. Would you like to move it and get a second?
Yeah, I'll move it.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stern?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt? Yes. Councilmember Katz?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
So I can now get a haircut when?
No, you can do it now.
Any day of the week?
Any day of the week you can get a haircut now. Okay. I'd like to make before Good and We open up Good and Welfare, I'd like to put the numbers in for ordinance number 4278. I'm proposing that we keep the numbers the same as it was. Landlord pays heat is 2.5%. If the tenant pays heat, the increase is 2.25%.
Was that 2.5?
2.5 and 2.25. So we're going to be readopting the same ordinance that it was for the last 2 years.
Mr. Mayor, I could also indicate that Resolution E has to be pulled. You can't pass Resolution E until you pass ordinance number
76.
No, but
4276.
4276. So until you adopt that, which will be on the 30th, this has to be relisted for the 30th.
Okay.
E.
Thanks. We'll do that during the consent agenda. Okay, does anybody have a problem with those numbers? Everybody's in agreement? Yes? Okay. Next item on tonight's agenda is Good and Welfare. This is where anybody can speak for whatever they like. Sir? Sir, to the mic, please, and your name for the... Yeah.
My name is Gerald Andrea. Close it down. Thank you. My name is Gerald Andrea. I live at 255 Van Buren Avenue. My wife and I. We've lived there for about 42 years. Several years ago, a family room was built on the home on the corner of Queen Anne and Van Buren. I live next door to that home, and it was built as a family room, and then it was notices were sent around that it would become a temple and a community center and whatnot. This was several years ago, and then it was became a temple, and the room is attached to the back side of the house, and we're on Queen Anne. We're on Van Buren. The front of that building is on Queen Anne, but the temple room is about 6 feet from our living room, dining room, and bedroom windows. And so there was, I don't know the technical language, I'm not good at that, but the Board of Adjustment had several meetings which I attended and a lot of other residents of Teaneck attended. And there were, I don't know the technical language, of infringements found regarding parking and the border and other things that are not in my understanding. But anyway, since then, I've had to complain, which I don't like to do. I had to call the police for noise because it becomes like a daycare center also for neighborhood children who belong to the temple, and it's right outside our window. And enjoying services recently with the holidays, Jewish holidays, it was I found it difficult to complain to the police, as I do, but I did, and I've had to complain before about the proximity of all that activity right outside our windows. So I don't want to, or can I afford to take any kind of action on my own? But the police officers, D'Alessio and Songa, recommended I come to the town council meeting and just state what's going on at the good and welfare part of the meeting. And I thought maybe, because my main concern is that the ordinances and laws be followed. I have no personal complaint about a temple being there, but as long as those are followed, and the good of the community. And sincerely, that's my reason to be here. So I don't know what action to take or where to go from here. And I thought the town council or someone might recommend something.
Thank you. We'll address your concerns after good and welfare is over, then we address all the concerns at one time. So we'll talk to you at...
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Good evening, Council. My name is Lynn Roberts, and I reside at 302 Roosevelt Street. I'd like to address the Council in regard to two matters concerning the Teaneck Historic Burial Ground. I am speaking here this evening on my own behalf, but will also point out that I have previously served as a founding member of the Coalition for the Preservation of Teaneck's Indian Slave Cemetery, and later as founding president of the Friends of Teaneck's Historic Burial Ground, an independent 501c3 organization. The two matters that I'd like to address are as follows. First, it has been brought to my attention that the Teaneck Historic Preservation Commission had requested in a letter from Chairman Eugene Coleman dated January 9th, 2012, that a sign identifying Teaneck's burial ground be placed at the site in keeping with Section 33-21.2G of the Township Code, which calls for each site designated by said commission to be marked. As I'm sure the Council is aware, on September 13th, 2012, the Teaneck Historic Preservation Commission submitted their proposed language for the signage, which I herein submit for the record, and I'm happy to read it aloud if time permits, whichever you prefer.
We'll just take it so you can get everything.
That's fine. Having reviewed the language of the proposed signage and discussed with other members of the Friends, I have some suggested edits I would like to make known to both the Commission and the Council. And again, I can submit those. But I will give you at least the general gist of them. One being that the language be changed to reflect appropriate capitalization of a small letter, E, in the term enslaved Africans. And also that there be included recognition that not only was the cemetery purchased by the Township of Teaneck, but that it was in response to the demands of a united coalition of concerned citizens. I think it's really important to acknowledge that in any signage. The second issue I wanted to bring forth is that Mr. Coleman further has pointed out in his same letter, and I quote, that the burial ground was designated 5.5 years ago at the time of his letter, At that time, the coalition was formed to raise money to purchase the property. Close to $27,000 was raised. Fortunately, the Meadowlands Trust came forward with $100,000, which was the amount set by the Town Council to proceed with the purchase. The $27,000 was put into a trust account for the development and maintenance of the burial ground. The Commission would like to see funds for a sign and split rail cedar fence be drawn from that $27,000. According to Mr. Coleman in an email dated October 2nd, 2012, he has yet to receive a response to his letter to the Council. And he granted permission for his letter to be referenced at this meeting since he knew he would be traveling from the 13th until the 30th of October. Finally, I am also aware that according to page 3 of the 2011 town audit, which is now available on the township website, that $26,494 is listed as donations for municipal open space in the trust fund section. In light of these aforementioned events, I'm herein requesting that the Council move swiftly to meet its obligation to properly mark the Teaneck Historic Burial Ground site as required by town ordinance, that the Council consider the aforementioned minor suggested edits to the sign's language as proposed by the Commission, that the Council explicitly demarcate in its budget the approximately $27,000 that was raised privately by the citizens of Teaneck exclusively for the preservation, maintenance, and development of the Teaneck Historic Burial Ground and not for municipal open space more generally, and that the Town Council establish a democratic, transparent, and accountable process that allows community input in determining how these private funds raised in good faith by the community for the Teaneck Historic Burial Ground have been and will be allocated in the future. I thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Deanne?
Hello, I'm Deanne Ip. You all know me, Teaneck. I'm giving everybody a hard copy of correspondence that I have written to the township as regards the $26,500 extra dollars that the coalition raised toward the purchase of the burial ground back in 2005, 2006. I think it would be easier if you have a hard copy to read what I had to say in order to follow the history of this. So, thank you. First, let me thank the council. I'm really glad that we're at the point that we are talking about a sign. I like the wording of the sign that has been done so far, and I endorse the improvements that are being suggested by Lynn Roberts. Problem, what happened is, well, we got to a sign, and I started talking with Ellie Katz because we're, agreed to work on it somewhat together. And I said, Ellie, I want a really nice sign for the burial ground. And I don't really totally like the traditional historic site sign markers on all of the other historic sites because they are usually used to mark colonial era historic sites. And we are dealing with a slave and Indian cemetery wherein the people that are buried there could have been considered to be victims, in a way, of the colonial era. So I had recommended a sign that I saw at another slave cemetery up in Newport, Rhode Island. I really liked that design. And Ellie told me that he didn't think there was any money for this sign, for the kind of sign, for an elaborate sign. And I questioned, well, what happened to our $26,000 or $27,000 that was raised above and beyond the $100,000 that we were required to raise? And it's been documented on videotape that I had produced during these events that the extra monies, when they were given to the township back in 2005 or 6, when it was above and beyond the $100,000, and the people giving the money said, we're glad you have the $100,000, now please use the extra money to take care of the burial ground. So the burial ground is not being taken care of really well. And the sign, I mean, I really, there should be plenty of Plenty of money for a sign, plenty of money for a fence requested by Eugene Coleman, plenty of money to endow this site so that we don't have to go again and apply for grants if we want to plant some flowers or some bushes or improve the bricks or do whatever needs so that this site really appears beautiful to the public. So, I've been looking for the money for the last several years. Nobody ever has an answer. That's what's been documented in the emails that I've given to you. Recently, we started looking into the latest municipal budget in order to look for, well, where is the money? Because I'm sure you guys don't know. If I asked any one of you, where's the money? No one knows. I think probably if I asked the manager, where's the money? He doesn't know. So where is the money? We think we found it in the budget listed under donations for open space. But that is really an insult to the Coalition for the Preservation of Teaneck Slave and Indian Cemetery because that's a very general header. It doesn't, you can't find the money for the burial ground if it's titled open space. But not just that, when we had to raise the money back in 2005, the township already had a municipal open space trust fund. And in spite of the existence of that fund, our project was at the bottom of the list for that advisory board. And we were required to raise our own money because township open space money was not going to be used for the historic cemetery. So, to make a long story short, please properly title our funds. We think we found them. It must be clearly designated that this is the money for the Teaneck Historic Burial Ground so that no one can make a mistake, and use it for a tennis court or for AstroTurf, for anything but taking care of our burial ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sir?
Good evening. My name is Sheldon Aronowitz, 1424 Lozier Place, Apartment 2A, Teaneck, New Jersey. I came to say a few words about rent control. And I hear that, I think 2.25, 2.5 is fair. And I'm not arguing with that. I just was wondering, I'm always nervous every year, is it going to expire or not expire? Is there any way, maybe in the future, we could always have a discussion on whether the percent will go up or down? But as far as expiring, does it have to expire every November if it's not heard, or can that be secured that it doesn't expire? And that's basically it. But as far and clarification, whether it's going to, I didn't understand whether it's 2.5 will be passed tonight or next meeting, or I wasn't sure. But basically, that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Barbara.
Dr. Barbara Toffler, Teaneck. I wanted to use this opportunity to talk to the council, but really also to everyone who's watching, to let everyone know that you have got to look at the Teaneck ballot this November 6th. When you get your sample ballot, very, very carefully, or we in Teaneck, as Councilmember Schwartz is shaking his head, otherwise we in Teaneck may very well end up with a Florida without intending it. So if I can just take a few minutes, and I'm going to come back at the next meeting, which is also before the election, to remind people, and I'm urging everyone to talk to the people in your synagogues, your churches, your neighborhood, your neighbors. The ballot that you will get in Teaneck has 3 parts. The first part is your general election part. That is the President, Vice President, House of Representatives, and Bergen County freeholders. Those, as every ballot we have ever gotten has the Republican column, the Democratic column. There are a couple of columns of people who have applied by petition, and then, of course, the personal choice column. That's part 1, and obviously that we're familiar with. The second part are 3 questions, the 3 public questions that you must answer. Then we come to the surprise third part. Down at the bottom, Teaneck decided to conduct its Board of Education elections in November. That Board of Education election is at the bottom of the ballot. However, it does not say Board of Education anyplace. It says the school election ballot is below in very small letters. That is the Board of Education ballot. What you also have to do when you get down there is reverse your thinking from your columns, the way we've always voted, and vote in rows. Because the way the candidates and the way the ballot is laid out for the school election, Board of Education election, row 1 has 4 names across, not down, across. And the names are Javon Rice, Sarah Rappaport. This is not an endorsement of anybody. Javon Rice, Sarah Rappaport, David Duguid, David Gruber. You are instructed in minute print to vote for 3 of those 4 people. 3 of the 4 across. Then there's a second row. The second row has 1 name in it, which is Shelley Worrell. There is nobody running against Shelley. Shelley is running to fill Dr. Pruitt's term, which is 1 year. So when you get down to that bottom part, you vote in the first row for 3 people. In the second row, you are asked to vote for 1 person. So you are voting for 4 people, but nothing is in columns. So though you see Javon and Shelley's name one above the other, they have nothing to do with each other. So again, part 1, columns. Part 2, 3 questions with interpretive statements. Part 3, Board of Education or school election ballot, and it goes horizontally. Vote for 3 of the 4 in the first row, 1 of the 1 in the second row. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Powers?
Chuck Powers, Teaneck. Well, I think we may be making some progress in this town in terms of a little more transparency, because we are now beginning to see that the effect of the best practices in this township, the best practices that the state requires, are leading this township to put a little bit of the material that should have been there for years and years on the website. And indeed, one of the things that's there is the audit. Now, the audit, I'm going to talk at much greater length when there's a larger public understanding of this, and when perhaps you have all 7 members of your council present. But in the story on the audit that appeared on the 29th of September, Councilman Yitz Stern said that the audit found no major irregularities or anything illegal. Now, I have spent a good bit of time already, and a lot of other folks in town are spending a good bit of time with an audit we're really quite concerned with. And you were concerned on August 16th, 2011. In fact, as I understand it, though the minutes are a little obscure on this, it was, in fact, Councilman Stern who, in fact, seconded the consent agenda approval that called for immediate correction of significant deficiencies in the 2010 audit. And what you find in the 2011 audit on page 41 and 42 is the fact that most of those have not yet been corrected, or have not yet been corrected at the point at which the auditor turned in the report, which he turned in 6 weeks late for reasons I don't understand, and which you folks didn't know about until 4 days before your last meeting. Now, what I want to read is the results of our test disclose instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported to this government auditing standards and audit requirements as prescribed by the Division of Local Government Services, Department of Community Affairs, State of New Jersey, which are described in the accompanying schedule of findings and question costs as item 1102, 1103, and 1104. And those folks actually relate to actual illegalities. There are substantial problems with your financial system in this town. A lot of folks in this town are taking a look at it. It is not the case, and it's a misrepresentation, I believe, to call that noncompliance not a matter of illegality. Thank you.
Mr. Rasheen?
Dr. Rasheen Teaneck. Unfortunately, Deputy Mayor is not even mentioned here. I don't know. He's not resigned, I hope. Okay, so my topic would be a kind of relevant and a bit to the side. And also, well, it's a pity that Adam is not here. And it concerns the fact that while probably all of the members of the council grew up in United States, some do not understand meaning of English words, and that's disturbing. In particular, in Adam Gasson's platform, he writes that he is for energy independence. And we know that we have a problem being required and a necessity to buy a lot of foreign oil. Despite this statement, which is in English, Gasson signs an ordinance to buy and prepare the emergency generators working on diesel, which is oil, regardless of the fact that the major American native energy source is gas. So he writes about independence, energy independence, and provides and carries out policy which would add to dependency on foreign energy sources. I think that's not understanding what you say, not acting upon that as the meaning is. The other thing is, well, again, I didn't decided not to wait for a month, but a previous meeting, I had a question about Ordinance 4273. It's 180,000 for the drainage, and it says here that is here by authorized to undertake stormwater drainage improvements at various locations in, by, and for township, including but not limited to Tokaloka Park and B. Dearborn Street. I asked, what does it mean, not limited to? And I was given an explanation that if, when you dig up, you find out that neighboring some pipes or whatever it is are damaged, you have to extend work beyond the immediate vicinity of those sites. Okay, I said, correct or not? No answer. We don't have talk back and forth. Okay, I asked the lawyer. Maybe there is a legalese which means that if the such sentence is put in context, it means exactly that. Limited perimeter of the mentioned site and nothing more. I asked the lawyer in my synagogue, experienced lawyer, and he told me no, unless you specify what it means, not limited to, it means anywhere. That's how it would be read, interpreted in the court by a judge. So therefore, again, you see, I was given an answer which does not mean, okay, what it really written here in English, in plain English, and apparently even in legalese. Okay, so it's necessary to say, even if it's found that, well, there is a contingency arising in the neighborhood of these places, then the plan will be expanded to the location of those contingencies. Again, you see, apparently no understanding of language, and very authoritative answer, and no talk back. So that's, once again, I would like to suggest, if you have time in good and welfare, and there's hours there, give public second chance to ask the question, to clarify it, because very often answers are meaningless. Allow that if we have time, because that's what it is for, to clarify things, and sometimes people on the council make mistakes. So I would right now just, again, I'm not talking about some other claims about infrastructure and all that, which goes quite bad, but says for other time. And I apologize that Adam is not here, but it's not my doing. I hope he'll be reported that. Right now, I would ask council to ask our lawyer, okay, whether in such cases contingency or not limited to clarification should be given, or otherwise it means anywhere in the town for whatever reason. Please do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, good and welfare is now closed. Sorry. Let me just before we all just hold on, okay. 250 Van Buren Street. Are you aware, Mr. Manager? Are you aware of any incidents on Van Buren Avenue? Is there a synagogue on Van Buren?
Possibly 554 Queen Anne, I believe that he's talking about, that particular property. I'm not aware of any, other complaints. I know that I believe there's some litigation surrounding it right now.
554 is in litigation. The synagogue is suing the Board of Adjustment, indicating the various issues with the variance.
So it's the same one on Griggs, right?
Pardon me?
Is this on Griggs or Van Buren?
It's on the corner of, I believe it's on the corner of Queen Anne and Van Buren, I believe. It's on the corner.
I would think in terms of the question of enforcement of laws, that's not something the council handles. That's something that's strictly up to the police department and the building department and the manager. Council has no authority over the actual enforcement of whatever violations there may be. Why a police officer would say to come to the council as if the council could do something is something I think the manager...
So you're not aware of any complaints? Okay, can you just get in touch? Can you just contact the township manager's office, and he'll work through whatever issues that are going on in the area? Okay, sir?
I've done that.
The township manager will be in touch with you. He said, can you grab his information and make sure that you guys get in touch with him?
Thank you.
With regards to rent control, we did move the ordinance. It used to sunset in a year, and now we've pushed it back for 2 years. Rent control, for my time on the board and the board before this, has always been are we going to keep it? Are we going to not keep it? This is something that we do every 2 years now. It's a compromise between the members of council who have different opinions on this. So this is what we got right now, and then I think we spoke on the phone. Yes, okay. So, we spoke on the phone about this, is that, for now, the economic situation is that we're going to keep it the same, and it was a compromise that we could all live with. 2 years. Yeah, 2 years and the same. Tonight, just no back and forth, but sir, what happens is we introduce the ordinance tonight, and then in 2 weeks we adopt it. So it's going to pass. Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor, can I address the audit issue?
Hold on one second. I'll get to that before. Okay. We could address the audit issue if you'd like, but with regard to the historical burial ground, I'd like to thank Ellie Katz.
You want me to respond to that?
Well, I'd like to first thank you for all your hard work that you did since this time, before my time on council. If you don't want me to.
Well, but the truth is...
Okay.
I'll take the credit.
Okay. So, and I'd like to thank...
The truth is, the two ladies that you see in the audience were...
I was getting to that if you didn't interrupt me. Thank you. And Deanne and ma'am, thank you for all your help with doing with all your work on the historical burial ground. In terms of making the e-capital, I think we can all do that. Do we have a sign right now, Mr. Manager? Or are we still in?
As far as the sign for the burial ground?
Yeah.
No, we don't have a sign yet.
Okay.
We're actually getting the prices.
Can we put in there something to that?
Well, I'm going to send it back to Historic Preservation to look again at the wording that they're proposing for the sign.
This is where I wanted to actually speak. Rather than making this into such a long process, going back and forth, since I'm the chairman of the only person on the subcommittee for the sign, possibly let me take the suggestions that were made by Lynn and meet with the manager and see if it's something that we can incorporate. Ultimately, it's the council's decision on what's written on the sign. And the council was very pleased with the first draft that was submitted. I don't think that the council would have any objection to some of the corrections that were made, and the council will get a bite at that apple when a proof comes to the council, because that's how we left it at the last council meeting, I believe, or when this came up, was that the manager was going to get some proofs and some prices on doing the sign in a few different ways. And I also forwarded Mrs. Deanne's email to the manager, I believe, the sample that she liked. So that's our next step. Our next step is that you're going to see a proof with a few different sign options and the final wording. That's okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay?
I'm good with
That's
that.
okay?
Okay. I'm good with that. Go ahead, ma'am.
I was just going to clarify that the suggested edits have already been shared with Eugene Coleman.
Oh, it's even better. You saved us a step. Perfect.
Great. Okay. There was something else that we were talking about. Can we delineate also in the audit where their money is?
I mean,
I understand why it's under open space trust. Can we delineate
I
it?
mean, those are internal accounting issues. We know where the money is. We're aware of where the money is. The money would not be found in a municipal budget. So anyone, let me just, I want to clarify this for you. If you're ever looking for money from a particular account, it's not going to be found in a municipal budget. That's the money we planned on spending for operations for that year or the following year, whatever year's budget it is. It would be found in an audit, of our accounts. So this is a name that the CFO has given the account so that he understands what the money's for in that particular account. And I don't think we should start. We should let the CFO name the accounts and know what money he's taken out of each account instead of myself or anyone else trying to name these particular accounts. The CFO knows what that money is for.
I understand, but at the same time, it's just a matter of changing it, because there's a lot more money in open space fund. It's a sub-account of open space trust fund, right? That's where the money is. So I understand where it is. It's just a matter of changing it, saying that this is the donations for the cemetery, so that the public can know that this is the donations for the cemetery, and somebody else doesn't come along and say, hey, you have $27,000. Let's do tennis court resurfacing with that $27,000. Councilman Katz, excuse me.
No,
there's no back and forth.
I believe, if I remember correctly, that this was done, as the manager said, as on their side for bookkeeping ways, but also from our side, the township side, it was the mechanism that we used in order to be able to accept donations. And I think that's the language, and that was the reason or how it was done. But I certainly understand the apprehension. I mean, let's not forget that the whole start of this burial ground was because of a clerical mistake downstairs in the building department or wherever it was, or in the tax office, that led to the ability of a private landowner to possibly buy something. So I certainly understand where they're coming from with their fears and worries of what's going to happen in the future. So I think that's a manager's, I think the manager should be able to handle how to properly address that.
Okay.
And just by the way, for point of clarification, we're not going to be putting a sign on the burial ground. Council specifically approved, for two reasons, I believe, a sign in the public right of way, and I actually went there last night to look at the location. Number one, and most important, I guess, is for the sensitivity of not putting it on the burial ground. And number two is because of the way that corner is laid out, putting a sign in the public right-of-way will actually give it visibility.
As the only member of the subcommittee, can you also put this on your agenda to figure out how to make this work also?
Which one?
The line item.
Oh, okay. I'll bring it up during our weekly subcommittee meeting.
Great. Does anybody else want to address anything?
Yeah, I just want to actually thank Dr. Toffler for giving that demonstration. I think that when many people received their sample ballots, they weren't sure if they were opening up a sample ballot or a fortune cookie. There's little pieces coming out of all directions. So I'm glad that she came to give us that, and the residents, the tutorial.
Great.
I just wanted to let you know that I had made a request for the poll workers working within the township to attend a poll worker class refresher course in light of the elections being joined. So they took that class October 11th, and if any voters have any questions, my office stands by ready to help from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Gotcha. Okay. Councilman Schwartz.
Off topic, but on topic, I know we were open late tonight for registration.
5 more minutes.
What were numbers or stats said on? Was it successful, the late night hours? Or
I saw 5 people registered tonight. They're still coming in. So if you haven't registered in, we're open for 5 more minutes. We'll stay open late. Councilman Proof.
Before the end of the year, the burial ground concern come to some kind of conclusion.
Dr. Pruitt, your mic.
It's been around a long time. It's not quite as long as the burial ground's been around. Not quite as long as the burial ground's been around, but I think that the interested parties want to be able to get themselves together and finish the project and let's move on, because Teaneck is privileged to have such a place, and we ought to get it labeled and get people on the right side.
Just quickly, to that point, one thing that was mentioned tonight, which was the fence. So, is that something that we should be discussing in our subcommittee?
Yes.
Starting to get approval on the style, what do they want to do? Is that okay with council that we expand the scope of the subcommittee for the burial ground, include the fence, so we can start working on that?
Yes, absolutely.
Councilman Katz, I think you should remember that there is an easement on this property which requires anything that's not shown on the plan that's been approved with the easement needs the approval of the conservatory as well as council. So I know is
the fence on the plan?
There is a fence on the plan. I don't think there's any signage on the plan.
The signage is not going on the property.
I think there is a fence on the plan of a certain type, so I think you might want to make sure you refer to
that.
We'll
bring that up
and get the necessary approval of the conservatory.
We're going to invite you to our subcommittee meeting.
The meeting. I think you have the plans.
Yeah, we're not going to talk. Not good. You can send us an email later. We're not going to talk. In terms, Mr. Rasheen, we've talked about the generators over and over again, and so we talked about the generators over and over again. We talked about the lines. We've gone over this over and over again, and why we chose to approve the generators that we have. In terms of your questions for the ordinance, we'll take those suggestions under advisement. Thank you. Okay, next item on tonight's agenda is introduction of ordinances. Would somebody like to introduce ordinance 4276, 4277, and 4278?
I'll introduce ordinance 4276, 4277, and 4278.
Ordinance 4276, an ordinance amending Section 33-32, Special Improvement District of Chapter 33, Development Regulations of the Code of the Township of Teaneck, respecting the membership of the Cedar Lane Management Group. Ordinance 4277, an ordinance establishing salary ranges, classification of positions, and duties thereof for classified and unclassified municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck. Ordinance 4278, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 29C of the Code of the Township of Teaneck, entitled Rent Control as amended by Ordinance 4209.
Go ahead.
I want to comment on ordinance number 4277. We have some information about that, but I'd like to see some additional information about it. For example, where is everybody on the list, on the salary guide at the moment?
Excuse me, Dr. Pruitt, can you press your microphone button?
Is it live now? Okay. I'd like to see where everybody on the list is currently on that salary guide. We don't have that information.
Councilman Katz requested that information on Monday, and he sent that information on Monday, correct? The things about this is, one, with this ordinance that we're voting to introduce, we still have 2 weeks to get that information. But then the other part about this that comes up into is that this is the salary ordinance for union employees, department heads who have decertified. So we had already pushed back this once because we needed information, and now we're at a time juncture where we have to introduce this ordinance. If you read the ordinance also is that ultimately within all these raises, council has final approval on that. So it's just a matter of...
Okay, let me ask the other 3 questions. Question number 2 is, what criteria is used to move those people from one step to another? Like if you are in the fire department, you go from lieutenant to captain, there is specific criteria that enables you to do that. Is there some kind of criteria that moves people along in this particular salary guide? And the third question is, how do these salaries compare to the region that we live in? That's it.
Well, the answer to your question number 2, the criteria for setting the salaries, usually in this group for department heads, I usually meet with the council on this issue, and usually they get traditionally they've gotten the increase, at least the increase that their subordinates have received. So that's how we usually move forward with their salaries, especially everybody who's already on the guide. So we don't have any new department heads, so they would normally get the increase that their subordinates received, or maybe.
A question about that. In other words, what you're saying is that your recommendation is that everybody on the list be moved to maximum?
No, you may have people that you're going to have people that are somewhere in the range, okay? And usually I discuss with council issues of salary in closed session, and we decide, what's an allowable increase. And we've had those discussions earlier this year in closed session about increases for particular unions and department heads. And that's the increase I would be going forth with for those department heads.
Mr. Mayor, this ordinance at this point in time is not setting any individual specific salary. This is merely putting the parameters which is required that we have this kind of ordinance. The individual recommendations still have to be made. Am I correct, Mr. Manager?
Yes.
You haven't made any of those recommendations for any of these people on this list as of yet. We've discussed certain parameters,
Yes.
but no decision has been made
Correct.
on any individual raises.
Correct.
That's what Dr. Brewer was looking for.
So that
And
means
what was
that-
your third question? I'm sorry. You had one other last question?
Region. How does the salary?
I would say in the region, probably the salaries are low. If you look at, let's take police chief in Inglewood. I believe the police chief in Inglewood makes $190-something. The police chief in Teaneck is making $174. Our salaries are probably a lot lower for department heads than many of the other towns.
It would be helpful if we had that information.
Okay, I'll try to gather some information. As many as I can get, I'll try to gather.
Councilman Katz.
I have a question about the language. You stated, Mr. Mayor, that it's the council's decision on whether or not the manager can increase the salaries. I don't see that here. I don't see that saying it's the council's decision.
Mr. Attorney, it's in Section 1.
The manager makes the recommendation for the salary. The council could override the recommendation. It's in Section 1.
Maybe I have an old copy, but it says that the salary for the holder of any office or position of employment may be established by the manager at any amount less than maximum amount set out herein, and then unless otherwise directed by the township council.
Correct. Council could override the manager's recommendation. He comes to you with the recommendation, I want to pay somebody X. And you could say, I don't accept the recommendation. We're not paying him X. You could do that. He has to come to you with his recommendation. He sets the initial recommendation.
So it has to be brought to the council for recommend. That's what this is trying to say.
He sets the recommendation, and the council could override his recommendation.
Any further comments?
Yeah. In other words, if the manager makes a recommendation for someone to get a salary increase, he has to come to the council with the reason for that recommendation.
I would think he would have to justify the recommendation to you, yes. I mean, he may not. He may say no. But I would think the manager would make a recommendation and be prepared to defend the recommendation. And then if you don't like his recommendation, you could say no.
No further comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stern?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt?
No.
On all three?
No, just the one I was talking about.
Okay.
The rest of them okay.
Councilmember Katz?
Yes, with an abstention on 4278, which is the rent control.
Councilmember Schwartz?
Yes on all.
Mayor?
Yes, on all three. Next item on tonight's agenda is the consent agenda. We're going to be pulling Resolution E, so we can't pass that tonight. Can somebody move the consent agenda in the bill list?
Yes, I'll move the consent agenda, which includes the raffles and the minutes from September 11th, closed, September 11th open, September 24th, closed, September 24th open, and resolutions B as in boy to N as in Nancy, excluding E as in Ellie.
And Resolution L.
And, yes.
I wanted to add that one resolution.
Oh, yes.
O. Isa.
And I'd like to include resolution O as an octopus.
Wait, we didn't put that. We have to open up good and welfare then, right?
Yeah.
For O only.
Yeah.
I'll move resolution O separately.
Let's get this, then I'm going to open up good and welfare for section O only. If anybody wants to comment on
Read the bill list amount.
Yeah, read the bill list amount, please. Jamie?
$5,918,707.28.
Okay,
I'll second.
great. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stern?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Katz?
Yes, with an abstention on the bill list, and J is in John, and K is in kangaroo. And that's it.
Councilmember Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. I'd like to add resolution O.
Was there a good and welfare opened up on that?
I'm opening it up right after I'd like to add resolution O to the agenda. It's an endorsing resolution for the Northern Regional, what's the organization there, Mr. Manager?
Northern New Jersey Community Foundation.
It's an endorsing resolution to get a grant from the county to get a grant to do building department studies.
Yeah, to study effectiveness and efficiency of building departments in the several towns that are involved in this collaborative.
And this was the organization that we've already endorsed a resolution to that Dr. Pruitt brought over to us.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, for $8,700. They're seeking a grant from the county to do government services index.
Great.
We didn't move it yet.
No, we don't move welfare. We're going to open up good and welfare for anyone who'd like to comment on resolution O. Sir, rent control passed.
Charles Powers, Teaneck. I have a procedural point, but also this business of sort of popping resolutions up, which you folks did most famously when you decided that despite the fact that several of your members had already participated in the planning board's support of the hotels along the side of 4, it's just simply not appropriate procedure. In this particular case, trying to figure out whether or not we actually have a system and structure that allows Teaneck to participate in this and to look at something that is really quite important. Certainly the construction and building department in this township is a real problem. So the understanding what it is that you are doing through this organization, to understand that better, is something extremely important, if I understand it correctly. But I can't tell you whether I understand it or not, because I just saw this, and I didn't hear anything about it, and I didn't see anything about it on the township website before this meeting. Thank you.
Anyone like to respond? Closed. Good and welfare is now closed. Anybody else want to talk about the resolution O? Good and welfare is now closed.
Yeah, in order to participate in this particular study, this just came to my attention. There's a deadline. We're not going to have a meeting, before the information needs to be submitted. And I thought it was important that we be able to participate, and that's the reason for walking it in.
Gotcha. And this is, again, an endorsing resolution for the county, just like we endorse resolutions when people are looking for money.
No cost to the township.
At no cost to the township. It's coming through the county budget. Also, This is an organization that also already gave us a presentation that we're all comfortable with, correct?
Correct.
And there's a deadline, that's why we're doing this way.
Correct.
Okay. And also, the managers in the area have met with this group, correct?
We meet with
And
this
this
group
is
regularly.
and the managers in the surrounding towns have met, and this is something that all the managers in the area would like to.
Correct.
And other townships are endorsing resolutions, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Yes.
I'd like to move Resolution O.
Second.
Roll call.
Do we have to read it in?
Do we have to read it in, Mr.? Thanks.
Whereas the governing body of the Township of Teaneck joins with the governing bodies of the Borough of Bergenfield, Borough of Pagoda, City of Englewood, City of Hackensack, and Borough of New Milford to voluntarily agree to work together as members of a community collaborative under the auspices of Northern New Jersey Community Foundation. And whereas the foundation agrees to work in partnership with the collaborative to minimize the effects of New Jersey's fragmented municipal structure, reduce redundancies in services and infrastructure, and catalyze collective efforts to produce significant, widely shared, and lasting results to the effectiveness, efficiency, and cost of delivering local government services to the public. And whereas the collaborative designates the foundation as their agent to research, apply for, accept, and administer grants and other monies to be used to fund the programs and projects of the collaborative. And whereas the foundation agrees to be the agent for the collaborative to research, apply for, accept, and administer grants and other monies to be used to fund the programs and projects of the collaborative. And whereas the municipalities in the collaborative and the foundation jointly apply for a shared services feasibility study program grant through the County of Bergen to be awarded to and administered by the foundation on their behalf in the amount of $19,200. And whereas the purpose of this grant request is to provide the collaborative with service delivery alternatives for improving the effectiveness, efficiency, and per capita cost of providing construction, office permitting, inspection, and enforcement services among the participating local units. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Teaneck, just joining with the governing bodies of the Borough of Bergenfield, Borough of Pagoda, City of Englewood, City of Hackensack, and Borough of New Milford, and with Northern New Jersey Community Foundation, and applying for a grant for the purpose of study of such shared endeavor, and be it further resolved that the collaborative and the foundation agreed to make the results of the benchmarking study publicly available to further promote shared and regional services among New Jersey's local governments.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stern?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Katz?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next item on tonight's agenda, old business.
I have an old business. We passed the dumpster ordinance a few years ago. The intention, and it was my idea, and I take full credit and blame at the same time. But the intention was that we were spending a lot of money, or taxpayers are spending a lot of money, and these dumpsters were being delivered all over town. But in order for them to be delivered, they have to first leave a dumpster on the street, pick up a new one, pick up the old one, put the new one there to, and make that exchange. And some of our streets that were getting torn apart, and we had no idea of, what was going on or how it was. So this was kind of a monitoring system. Since then, I think it's become, well, the intention of the ordinance, I think, is a good intention. I think it's become very cumbersome and expensive to our residents, and that was not the intention of the ordinance. So I'd like to request that we actually ask I don't know if this would be the attorney or the manager to work with the building department and change it to more of a reporting, or so that when you take out application, you can just check off, yes, I'm getting a dumpster, and not a requirement for permits and also a deposit and also.
Well, no, you just need a deposit, but I think that the issue that I've come up across with around people in town is, if you're putting it in your driveway, then why do they have to a permit? If they're putting it on the street, then we said we were going to put the $250 there, so that if they mess up the street.
The answer to your question is that they've always required a permit. In fact, the engineer's office is the one that would issue that for a street dumpster. It's the blue-colored permits, it's not the yellow ones. The concern was that whether it's even in your driveway or anywhere, even on your front grass, in order to swap dumpsters out, they'd have to put it in the street, at least for a couple of moments, whether it's minutes. And that would have, if you ever seen these 30-yard dumpsters filled, being dropped onto our streets, that could absolutely cause damage to our streets. And we wouldn't know that a dumpster was there because we don't know, if someone's just cleaning out their yard or cleaning out their house, we don't know that they didn't take a permit out for that. So there was no notification or documentation in any case. So the intention was to, and we coupled it at the same time with the pods, but the intention was to create a documentation or just a paper trail. I think, unfortunately, it's become a paper trail with, unfortunately, a financial burden and too much of a bureaucracy. So in the interest of reducing bureaucracies, I'd like to get council's permission to have the attorney maybe look at that ordinance and do whatever's required, if everyone's in favor of that.
I'm in favor.
Yeah.
Dr. Pruitt, are you in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, though, it should first go to the manager with the building department as to what you're trying to accomplish, and then if I have to draft something, I would do the drafting.
I'm willing to be on the dumpster subcommittee.
But I think you have to talk to the manager and the building department to tell me what they want to accomplish, and then I could draw the ordinance.
Okay. So I'll work with you on that. Okay.
Any other old business? Miscellaneous? New business?
I have a new business. I'd like to nominate Janice Burchell. I think it was the Social Service Advisory Board she requested.
Yep. Second. Nominations. Everybody in favor of that? So, on the planning board, I'd like to renominate Kimberly Jones to serve another term on the planning board. Is everybody in favor of Kimberly?
Fine.
Yes? Yes? Everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Let the record show that it was unanimous. Thank you. Committee reports?
Oh, yeah. We had a meeting today with some very important people, 5 folks. Ms. Avelina, Mr. Abruzzi, the township manager, Katz, and myself. And we were talking about recognizing the volunteers in Teaneck. And we proposed that in May, possibly the 21st of May, we will have a program at the high school where we recognize all of the volunteers in the township, and we expect that will be a substantial number of people. We're working out the details, and we just want to inform people that this enthusiastic committee is going to make it happen and give people a chance to be thanked for what they've been doing over the last many years.
Yeah, and just to comment that if there's a volunteer organization that a resident knows about, they should go to the website or eventually when it's ready and have an opportunity to send it into the manager's office. But it's our way as a council to recognize all the volunteers in this town that help our residents.
Any other reports? Council listed items. Sukkah regulations. Councilman Schwartz.
I'm going to pass them after I got some information.
Okay. Stop sign on Claremont and Helen.
It was just, I thought it was brought up prior, which is why I listed it, but if it's not, I just want, a new temple moved in and got a TCO with the Old Beth Am. So Congregation Sharpsfield purchased the Old Beth Am, has recently finished their construction, moved in. They're looking for a potential study to see if a stop sign could be placed on Claremont westbound at the corner of Helen Street. Right now, there's no stop sign. It goes into, you can make a left, you can make an angle left to go down to Martens, you can make a right, and there's no stop sign. So they're asking to take a look. There's crosswalks were already striped out, so you've got crosswalks, but you don't have a stop sign, and that's so it's been a little dangerous out there. So they were just looking for a study and.
Gotcha. Let me just make sure before, I don't want you to get in any trouble. This is your shul?
I'm a member of it here.
Yeah.
But for safety reasons, he's allowed to come.
He's allowed to come? Okay. Council, I'd say that's true. Not a problem? Okay. Good.
I'm on the ambulance crew also that responds to the accidents.
Great. Next item, engineering department.
Okay. This is this topic, or not this particular topic. Over the next few months, in about January, we're going to start getting hit with the budget. And as I said I would, I'm going to be taking a look at all the items on the budget, every department. We passed Ordinance O tonight, which was discussion of potential shared services with other towns as it relates to the building department, several departments. What I'm going to be looking to do, and I realize there's staff here, this is not about staff, just looking at the overall aspects of every part of the budget. I'd like to start and ask if we can get a report from the manager and the manager's staff on what the costs are involved in this particular case of the engineer department, and doing some talk with Paramus and some other towns. Some other towns do sub it out or outsource it. So all I'm looking to do is just to get some ideas and some studies before we head into an urgent deadline in January when there's a budget, so we can just get some numbers as it relates to what other towns are doing with their engineer department, what we are, what we could be, what we can't be doing. I will have a few others listed under council and listed items in the future, but I wanted to start with this item. So if you just get some general information similar to what we do with rent control in other towns, same concept, the comparative count, so we can go into the budget season knowing about it.
Everybody in favor of that?
Yeah.
Okay. 2011 audit, Councilman Pruitt.
Talking about the audit report, the audit report listed a number of deficiencies, and the fact that they got listed makes them important to be concerned about. And the question I have for the township manager is, in the goals and objectives for the people who are responsible for the deficiencies, will there be consequences at the end of the year if those objectives are not met by the people responsible for making them happen?
The answer to that question would be yes. But I can tell you that we prepared a corrective action plan, and we're going to meet the deadlines in that corrective action plan. And to say a little more about this particular issue, I think Mr. Powers was right in one of the things that he said regarding certain practices within the township, improved practices taking hold. And I think that those practices are not taking hold because the state developed a sheet of best practices for the state. The best practices in Teaneck are taking hold because of management, because of the management team that we have here in the township. That's why things are changing. We have old, archaic systems here that we've been using for many, many years. I'm in the process of changing those things. One of the most important things I've done so far is to put us on a firm footing with modern accounting software. We recently saw when the CFO left the township, we found ourselves in a very serious position when it came to our old accounting system that we were using. We were on a system that is unsupported and that almost no one else in the entire state uses. Now we're on a system where 80% of the state is using this same system. So management is making these best practices take hold and getting rid of the old Teaneck archaic way of doing things. So more specifically about the audit, if you look at, you got to look at all of the information. If you look at the auditor's letter, it says specific things. Now, I want to read a little bit. In the letter, it says, a material weakness is a significant deficiency or a combination of deficiencies in internal control, such that there is a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement of the entity's financial statements will not be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. So there was no material weaknesses found. I think that's very important to note. Then he goes on to say a significant deficiency is a deficiency or a combination of deficiencies in internal control that is less severe than a material weakness, yet important enough to merit attention by those charged with governance. And he goes to outline what those particular deficiencies are. And he also says at the end of the letter, this communication is intended solely for the information and the use of management, council members, and others within the organization, and is not intended to be and should not be used by anyone other than these specified parties. So we should look at the audit in a positive light. We should look at it as an opportunity for improvement, an opportunity to improve where potential weaknesses may be. So one example that I'd like to touch on is the $531,000 deficit that was reported, and that's in the audit. When you hear that word deficit, it sounds negative, it sounds bad. But this is actually a good deficit. This isn't the type of deficit that you actually think of. Okay, so this deficit came about because in 1999, the council authorized bonding for $4 million to build a new DPW. So for some reason, during that period, since 1999, the DPW wasn't built. There was certain money spent to conduct studies, to do some design work, some drilling, some coring. And up to 2008, approximately $300,000 of that $560,000 or $31,000 deficit was spent on items, trying to move forward the building of the DPW. What also came out of that was the salt shed. In I believe it was 2008, the township was under orders from the DEP to install a salt shed. And that salt shed was several $100,000. So that was charged to that ordinance as well. There was also the cleanup of lead at the old shooting range at the DPW. That was charged to that ordinance as well. So you have a deficit because when the council authorizes bonding or borrowing, the CFO doesn't automatically go and borrow that money. What the CFO did in this case over the years is we borrowed the money from ourselves. So he borrows the money from the current fund. And at some point as the project moves along, the CFO needs to go out and borrow the money and issue debt. So that, in this instance, that was never done. It was taken from the current fund. So we actually borrowed the money from ourselves. So this is it's a technicality, and it has to be rectified. And it can be rectified in several ways. It could be rectified with surplus. It could be rectified with raising the money in budgets over future years. But I'm going to be putting forth a plan to the council to deal with with all of our debt service and accomplishing and our improvements, our capital improvements going forward. And I'll probably be requesting that, on a special meeting possibly in December, so we can discuss the issue of debt. I've been working on that for several months with the attorney, with bond counsel, and we have a pretty firm plan in place, and that will cover this type of issue.
So, can you hear me? Can you hear me? So if we use the same auditor next year, they won't find the same concerns that they found this year.
Hopefully they won't. I mean, the auditor, most of the concerns that they brought up, we have a plan to correct them. They should not find these same concerns. But this is part of the auditor's function, is to go out and dig and to try to find areas of weakness. But as you can see, there's no area where they found that, we suffered any type of material loss or anything like that. There's just areas that, we can improve upon.
Great. We're back online.
Okay.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Township Manager's report?
Just give me 1 second.
Social Services Funds?
Wait a minute. All right, so we'll start with social services. I'm sorry, it's over here. We'll start with social services. The Social Services Advisory Board. They recently contacted me. They're requesting some additional funding from the council. Apparently, our funds that we use to help indigent families is down to about $205 in all the funds. In all the accounts. They're requesting $10,000 to assist with requests for the rest of the year, and to possibly get some sort of line item for this type of purpose in 2013. If the council, wanted to make some sort of appropriation for that, it's possible that we can use some donated funds from FDU that we have.
You've done that in previous years, right?
Yeah, we have done that, yes.
Is it from FDU, or are we looking to tap into the Hyatt Fund again?
No, this would be FDU, not the Hyatt Fund.
So we were given $40,000 from FDU. How much did we take last year, and how much?
10,000 last year, of course. 10 or 15.
Yeah. It was. I believe the last time it was 10,000 from interest that we had earned in the Hyatt Fund, I believe.
No, I
don't think we reduced the fund, right?
I thought we reduced the fund. I think the interest wasn't enough because of the rates
So
of
we added
interest.
money. We didn't take from the principal.
We didn't reduce the
We added
principal.
money.
So before we make a decision, can we get a number? Can we get an amount that's currently in the
He's
Hyatt?
just telling us. We're not making
Okay.
a decision on this until budget time, I think.
They're requesting money for the rest of this year.
I personally want to first see what we have in the Hyatt Fund.
Can you
Even though
send us more information before we...
Okay, so you want me to have that information on the
The
Hyatt
next one.
Fund?
Yeah.
And then...
and if there's, we didn't touch the FDU money, you're saying?
Yeah, I don't believe we touched
Okay,
it.
if we can get
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Mr. Manager, maybe you could circulate the information before the next council meeting, because if we don't take action at the next council meeting, you won't have another meeting till November 27th, and if they need the money before the end of the year, so you'd want to be in a position to make a decision on October 30th.
And do we get a report on where this money's how this money is disseminated? We know by who and for what, but do we know?
I mean, I can have a report. I can get a report.
Okay, yeah.
Is that confidential? I mean, is that...
I was going to say, you could say what the general purpose was, but you can't identify the people and people like that. You could say it went for
whatever information.
electrical, it went
Yeah,
for
whatever.
public service bills, it went for rent, it went for food.
Whatever information is public information, if we can get a copy, please.
Okay, I will give that.
The next item was Maya Lawrence.
Okay, Maya Lawrence, the council had requested that she be invited to a council meeting so that we can honor her. Apparently, she's living in France, and she's not going to be here on the date of the council meeting. However, the Recreation Center is going to hold a celebration for her on November 15th between 6:30 and 9:30. Apparently, she was a student there at one point. And they would like, some sort of proclamation from the council, and would like to invite the council to come as well to the meeting.
And my favorite topic, Facebook and Twitter for our website.
Facebook and
We all
Twitter.
provided the certificate, right?
Yes.
Facebook and Twitter have been launched today.
Wow.
So the township is on Facebook, and let me just say what that information is. I just want to give that out to the public.
Who's tweeting?
Real fast.
You tweet?
Why, do you tweet?
No, I have a guy.
I'm going to give you that in 1 second. Okay, so Facebook, we went live at 6:30 this evening. For residents to like us, you can go to facebook.com/TeaneckNJGov. For residents who want to follow us on Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/TeaneckNJGov. Our handle on Twitter is also @TeaneckNJGov.
Emergency alert sign up.
Emergency alert sign up. We sent a flyer to the Board of Ed, and they're going to be sending it home to all parents from K to 8th grade. And hopefully we get a lot of people to sign up for the website when that's done.
Dr. Pruitt, as our liaison, please express the council's gratitude and thank you for helping us out with this. When you go there, I'm asking you to make sure that you express that the entire council is very grateful that they did this. Thank you.
And the other item that I have that I just want to briefly touch on is Recreation Department senior program attendance. And if you want to just take a quick look at that. The council asked me to work with the seniors to help improve attendance for programs at the center and to improve the registration process. So we did a study of registration and attendance of the programs. And I'll just take the first one. We have a Pilates program. This was summer of 2012. So we had a Pilates program. We had 54 people registered and 14 people on the waiting list. In week 1, 31 people showed up who were registered. And 3 people showed up for the program that were not registered. And then you go on, you could see week 2, 34 people showed up, 4 people showed up that weren't registered. And then finally in week 8, 23 people showed up and 2 people showed up who were not registered. So we're going to be working to strengthen our controls on attendance for programs. So I'm working with the recreation superintendent and the senior citizens advisory board to help shore this program up. And I just have a couple other things.
I have also an item for the manager.
Any other questions on that document?
No, just attendance is very poor.
Okay. You had a question on it?
Yeah. What's the status of the volunteers for the Welcome Center here in the municipal building?
We've had about 12 people sign up.
Right.
And we have 2 people who want to help coordinate the program. And our HR director, he's in the process of working with them to get the program started and get it moving forward. But he's having a little trouble, getting a meeting. One of the people is out of the country, but we're going to be moving forward with it shortly.
But have the people that applied, have they all been contacted again? Because I was in communication with Issa about one woman who kept calling me. But I didn't get the response as far as what her, was she called back, was she not called back?
I'd have to check with the HR director on that.
Okay.
I'll check with that. And if you can give me her name,
yeah,
that would be good.
No problem. Issa, you have the name still? You want me to give? You have it. Okay.
Anything else?
One other thing. And the last thing is the mayor had asked for sign-ups on the website. It's difficult to kind of quantify how many people are actually signing up, because people sign up in different categories. Some people use different names. But it looks like there's now 224 people signed up for the website.
Up from 69, right?
Yeah, from very low numbers. So, also the garage sale. The garage sale, we had approximately 132 people sign up for the garage sale. It looks like it went very well, and we'll be doing it again next year.
Actually, I heard a message today that was left on Issa's voicemail. A woman who was very, very pleased and appreciative of. You heard it also? So.
Did you
wasn't my
participate?
mess. It wasn't my
Did
message.
you participate this time? Or not?
I had a garage sale in between the other two garage sales of the town. I didn't get a chance to participate.
Anything else?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Exactly. So you said, first of all, I'm the first follower. Right. First follower. What's Facebook? What was the number? NJ.
Not .gov.
Not .gov. Right. I did that search.
Because I think if somebody gets hurt...
We just got on.
Yes, you are.
6:30.
I just checked it. No, I did it. Yeah. I was actually trying to beat you to it, and I did, because I'm the first follower. And I saw you whip out your phone.